Hey guys, welcome back to J Paranormal. Just stuck in a little traffic. Excuse me if I'm not looking at the camera right now. I got to focus on the road, obviously. But yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you guys. I have a crazy story to actually share with you. I ran into a friend of mine, and I've known him and his wife, for many of years. And they've been churchgoers, like I mentioned, since they could pretty much walk. And they're very, like I said, religious people. And she had shared a story with me. And also he had shared another story with me that I'm going to actually do some research to see if there's any truth to it. But again, these are very honest people. I don't really see them lying to me. But one of the stories was his wife was hanging out with her girlfriends one night watching, I forgot the movie. It was the movie when the fly went into the person's ear and possessed them. Well, literally, the fly apparently flew out of the TV, freaked everybody in the room out, and they all left the house. That's story number one. Story number two, there was, because people believe out there that seeing horror movies, and I'm not really one of those type of people, but, seeing horror movies, apparently you're inviting, evil spirits in. I mean, I don't really believe that. I think most movies are made for entertainment. Even the movies that are based on a true story, like The Conjuring 2, if you guys know the real story, it's nothing like the actual real events that happened. For instance, in Conjuring 1, Ed and Lorraine failed in terms of taking that demon out. They actually made it worse. And in Conjuring 2, they actually only spent a weekend there, apparently. And it was really that other gentleman that was in the movie that was really there to help them. But you know how they glorify movies nowadays. But again, they are based on true events and true stories. And, those to me are true horror movies. I don't like the other movies. Those are kind of comical to me. So going back to what I was saying, there was a parish, and again, I'm going to look this up, and they were warned because they wanted, I guess, the nuns, or, again, I'm not too familiar with Christianity and the way it works, but apparently, I guess the nuns or the sisters, they went to see The Conjuring after their pastor or their priest told them not to. And apparently half of them came back begging for forgiveness. And they went through some of their own stuff, and they were begging, again, I'm not sure if it was a pastor or a priest, to, take these demons out. Again, it was told to me by a very reliable source, but, again, who told it to him? I'm going to do my research. He also mentioned, and, I'm Jewish, so I go by the Old Testament, whereas Catholics, Christians, go by the Bible, the New Testament. And he mentioned to me about the book of Revelations, which I've never read, which I will read. Is pretty much spelling out what's going on in the world today, and that's a lot of evil coming into this world, and that's definitely not a good thing. And I've said in my other videos about, Dybbuk boxes and messing with haunted dolls, and, I understand that you guys get paid for what you do. You always want to monetize a site, obviously, but again, is the risk really worth the reward? I'm watching some of you guys on YouTube, and again, I said I would never shout out anybody's name, but there's one gentleman who just seems fearless, and he got possessed a few times. he's going into places, he's inviting spirits to come in, he's talking bad about them, this and that. And sure enough, he's had a lot of crazy stuff go on in his life, especially recently. And I'm just going to warn everybody again, everyone needs to stop messing with a Ouija board, stop messing with anything that allows you to communicate with the other side. I know a lot of people are into spirit boxes. I have a little setup of my own with my spirit box, and EVP, EMF, all the letters. But I've only used it a few times, and nothing really came out of it. But again, it's not like I was going to a haunted place. But what I'm going to do, and what I would like you guys to do, is also look at the book of Revelations and see, what, again, if you're Catholic or Christian, you guys obviously believe that, Jesus is the Lord and Savior. This happens in all religions, not just Catholicism, Christianity, and Judaism. It happens, to Islamic people. It happens, to Indian people. It doesn't really matter really what religion you are. But these videos are good for one thing. I think I mentioned this earlier. Again, pardon me, driving here and doing this at the same time, focusing on the road. Please be careful with everything you do, and please look back, or before you do something, actually think about the repercussions about what you're going to do. I mean, monetizing a YouTube site, I understand. I've literally seen somebody who would just go on, just regular adventures or dumpster diving or this and that. They would have 10,000 views in a week, and then they get into the paranormal. All of a sudden, they blast up to 100,000 views in, a day sometimes. I mean, it's wild. And there are a few good people, a few good paranormal people who are on YouTube, who I watch, pretty frequently. Again, I'm not one to believe that watching something scary is really inviting something into your house. So that takes me back to the story that his wife told me about the fly and how it came out the TV. There's many explanations for that. I'm very much one to debunk something, or to look at any way to debunk something. But I'm a believer, and I know what's out there. And I have a son. I told him, if anyone ever plays with a Ouija board, you better get out of that house. I think I told you in previous videos that I had a couple of personal experiences when I was a kid. One was with a Ouija board, which I will never play with again in my life, and I will not allow it into my house. But, even seances, stuff like that, I don't believe in psychics, or, I think that's the devil's work. And I keep hearing, and maybe some of you guys can clear this up for me, about good witches and bad witches, and yeah, when you see fairy tales, you see good witches and stuff like that. But please comment below, let me know, really the difference between a good and a bad witch. I mean, if you look up the definition of a witch, it normally says that it's something, evil, or something you should not mess with. And all of you guys are going out to these places to do ghost hunts, which are very, very cool, don't get me wrong, but you have to realize what is going to latch on to you, if something is going to latch on to you. I've seen plenty of YouTube videos, some, yes, I think are pure BS, but some of them are no joke. I mean, it's when you're watching a live stream and something happens right in front of your eyes as they're watching it, you know, you really can't edit that. You know, a live stream is a live stream. I've watched many videos that looked very real, but if you slow down the speed, you can kind of see the cut made. So, you know, those I really don't believe in too much. But I want you guys to also let me know if you guys are familiar with the Book of Revelations, and, you know, share your thoughts with me, please. You know, please comment. You know, I would love for you guys to subscribe and like, of course. But my job is really just to educate you guys, share some stories, maybe eventually go out and look at a couple of places. But, you know, again, I would kind of be a hypocrite if I did that for saying some of the things that I'm saying. But it's always been interesting to me ever since I was young, and I had those couple of things happen to me. Like, for instance, with the Ouija board, we started using the Ouija board, and we asked it one question. My toaster oven, which was 10 feet away, automatically lit on fire, almost burned down my whole kitchen. And my friend just took the board and he tossed it, never even ended the game properly. You know, this was going back probably 25 years ago. I don't really think people knew how to end the Ouija board properly back then, or at least we were, you know, those naive people that did not know. And, you know, a couple of weird things started happening after that. But my main thing was with the sleep paralysis when I was a kid. Very scary. People who have been through it, I mean, it's not a pleasant feeling when you're wide awake and you can't move. You try to scream on top of your lungs, nothing happens. And you see a figure, a black figure, hover above you, and it's scary and it's freaky. And, you know, I know that I was 100% awake, because once I snapped out of it, you know, I was up. I knew I was not dreaming whatsoever. I have friends that have stories also, but again, I would rather tell you firsthand stories, but I wanted to share the other two stories with you today, just because these are two very, very good, honest, you know, like I said, church-going people. So I just want to conclude this video by saying, one, there's going to be a lot more cool stuff being uploaded very shortly. And two, you know, just be careful out there, you know what you're doing. And again, anything that you guys know in terms of the witches or the Book of Revelations, you know, please comment and let me know. I mean, no one is really an expert in the field. I mean, not even priests or rabbis or, you know, paranormal hunters. You know, once you deal with the other side, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, yes, possessions do work. Exorcisms do work sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Or sometimes they'll jump out of one body, jump into another. Excuse me. But just be careful when you guys go out there. And I will be seeing you shortly as I am finally inching closer to my house. So, want to wish everyone a great night, and I will see you next time.